The Working Artist Project is brought to you by Second Line Arts Collective. Learn how you can support at secondlinearts.org.
We're creating a platform for those who are curious, one that tells the story from the artist's perspective. Moments in time, captured from the innovators who are reshaping dance, music, theater, and the visual arts. This is the Working Artist Project.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Working Artist Project. We are so happy to be here once again this Monday evening. Darian Douglas, how are you?
Gregory Ajid, hey man, what's up, bro? You all right, man? You good today, man?
Bro, I got a unicorn and rainbow hat on.
All right. Hey, yo, Greg is bringing a unicorn magic tonight, man. I wish everybody can't see this because some people are got their ears and not their eyes on this. But for the people who do got their eyes on the, check Greg out, man. You know what? We're gonna start selling those. We're gonna go to our website in the next few days and you can get a unicorn hat just like Greg. How about that?
Yeah. Or hey, shout out to the actual company that I bought them from, spirits.com. It's pretty got all kind of cool running gear. So.
Beautiful, man. That's dope. Man, all right, we got a lot going on. We're gonna catch y'all up on real quick before we get into the show. As you guys know, our summer incubator is right around the corner, June 6th through June 17th, and we got the one and only Marquise Hill is our special guest artist. And man, if you want to be a part of this, you got to go to our website and register as soon as possible because we only have 21 spots available, and we only taking the top 1% of the thousands of people that's going to apply for this. So go to secondlinearts.org and check us out. Go ahead, Greg.
So check this out. If you know any young people between the ages of 14 and 23 who are interested in learning about music, interested in developing their careers, interested in learning about the music business, industry practices, got a growth mindset, are cool, send them our way. We'd love to work with them for the next couple of weeks over the summer. It's a great educational opportunity. And Darian and I are especially excited about this. This is going to be the first time we're in person in 2 years, I believe.
Oh man, goodbye Rona, goodbye. Bro, so check it out. Today, Greg, you don't know this cat, but I do. I know him very well. We've been on the road together for many years, kicking it, playing some beautiful music. And his name is Mathis Picard. But just to give y'all some background on Mathis, he's French, believe it or not. You can't tell from his accent, And he grew up in England and France, and then I think he moved to Pittsburgh for a minute, and he went to Juilliard. And I mean, he's a true virtuoso on his instrument. Mathis is interesting because he blends all kinds of music into one that you would think wouldn't go together. I'm gonna let him tell y'all a little bit more about that. But without further ado, let's welcome Mathis Picard to the Working Artist Project. What up, Mathis?
Hello.
What's up, Mathis? How are you?
Hey, Darian. Hey, Gregory. How's it going, y'all? Thank you for having me on your show today.
Yeah, bro. Man, it's been a long time coming, man. Me and Mathis, we've had many conversations in the back of a van, airports, fucking about all kind of shit, right?
Yeah, no, we've been chatting, like you said, we've been on the road, so we've been wanting to do this for a long time, kind of have an official discussion. And it just so happens that life has made us being prepared for the whole Zoom situation. So we're ready. Like, I'm ready for you in this energy.
Zoom life.
The Zoom life, bro. So check it out. You got a brand new record. Sorry, go ahead, Greg. What'd you say?
I'm sorry.
What'd you say, Greg?
Around because I know if you all spent all that time together in a bus, you probably have the answer to my original question that I asked before we went on air, right? Yeah, never mind.
We're gonna stay away from that question. Everybody, Greg's been on some shit tonight. We just gonna ignore. They didn't hear that, but check it out. Let's start at the beginning a little bit, Mathis, because you are a unique unicorn to play on Greg's theme tonight because you didn't really you're French, but you have this English thing happening. You got this American thing happening. Can you kind of tell people how those those things blended together?
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of like what's going on. What it's just it's just really the story, right? So born in France, and then when I was 3, I moved to the States for like a couple years. First in Chicago for 1 year, and then in Pittsburgh for another year, and then I moved back to France. So at the point of being 6, I was born in France, lived in America, came back. Then I lived in France for a little while, moved to Scotland when I was 10. So then that took me back to the English speaking energy because I was losing my English. You know, I was like 8 and 9 living in France and like just only speaking French, and my parents knew the importance of continuing the practice of speaking English. So that's why that was part of the decision of moving over to Scotland, you know. And they made the right choice because it helps. You know, I when I meet people, for example, like French folk who come who love being here, but they can't speak like a drop of English. It's like, oh man, it's difficult to maneuver in this world because everyone speaks English, you know.
Bro,
so
such a good point. Yo, Mathis, what did your
you know what? That's something you and Greg got in common, man.
Man, I think my internet's all crazy right now.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg. Your internet, you going out? What'd you say?
Sorry, y'all. Mathis, what did your parents do that they were able to move so much back in the day?
Well, it's really my dad and his adventurous mind, right? They're both doctors, right? Although they both used to be musicians when they were younger. My dad used to be a rock drummer in like a French prog rock band, and my mother played classical piano. But at the time, he still is very much in this energy, but he like created this machine which helps the operation of and the surgery of knees, because he's an orthopedic surgeon. That technology kind of take the leap from the 90s of having like 9 monitors to just one machine. So his take on that, and that took him to America, which took us there. But then we moved back, and then moving to the UK was also with his surgery, so we were able to follow him there. But then afterwards, I left at the age of 11. I went to boarding school in England for music when I was 11. So then at that point, I left my family, and then it's been my own journey since then of what happens in my life. And since then, I've been living in an English speaking world. But but when I was living back then, right, I was talking more like this, you know, and they'd be like, "Oh, mate, just get a drink, mate."
I was gonna say, Mathis, you know, Greg is French also, but he's French Hawaiian because his parents are French, but they moved to Hawaii and then moved to New Orleans. So, you know, if y'all at any moment y'all want to break out into the French, man, don't worry, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You know, what's funny is like when I grew up, my parents spoke to me in French, and when I went to preschool, I could not speak English.
Wow.
My mom decided, okay, I got to speak to him in English now. And she completely stopped with the French. So I don't, you know, fluency is not my thing, but I do have it in my subconscious deeply, you know?
But yeah, bro. Okay. So, you know, that's interesting, man. And I'm glad you did one of your accents, man. I was definitely going to be like, yo, Mathis, we got to get into some accents before we before we get off today, man. But okay. So you did all that, man. You came to Juilliard, you smashed that, you played with Wynton, blah, blah, blah. He's boring. I don't want to talk about him. I want to talk about you because you're more interesting than all those fools, man. So then you get to New York and you kind of get into your own circle and creating your own music, and you're merging like techno, stride piano, and every other kind of music, right? That you kind of heard into this new style that you created, right?
I don't really consider it to be a new style. Like, hey, here's new music and it's a new style, like a declaration of new vibe. But I'm totally, yeah, that's totally what happened with uh, uh, creating an output where all these interests are coming together, you know, from these different parts of my life, from living in these different parts of the world and learning about all kinds of music, you know.
Mm.
Um, so classical music when I was living in France, and electronic music when I was living in the UK, or even some jazz, some like stride music that I discovered on my own while I was living in the UK. That all of that is very connected uh, to this point in time. Because, for example, when I moved to um, Juilliard school, there I discovered all kinds of new music, and every time when we started working together, we discovered all kinds of new music. But very much so in these projects that we're talking about, it's about trying to just find a place where a little pocket exists where it can something unique and beautiful can be created. That's it's free, you know. It's because there's so many options out there, you know, so many things you can fuse together.
Mm. Yo, Mathis, like having studied in France and in Scotland and also at a very prestigious university like Juilliard, like how does is there like a difference in the way music is taught in those three places? And like did that inform the way you approach conceptually how you play?
uh it well
Tell the truth.
We gotta know. We gotta know. I'm just so curious because it's. I mean, it just seems like three different worlds, and just so curious how those experiences can like completely inform your perspective.
I'll tell you that all of these three different systems of academia, first of all, were all wonderful. Like, I'm very grateful that I've had the opportunity to be exposed to so much cool knowledge and to learn all of that. However, the three of them as systems of education lack one thing uh, in
Mm.
in in the teaching of the music, and it's for me like a true awareness and acknowledgement of the the humanity of playing music, the soul of playing music, uh, beyond technique, harmony, theory, and sort of explaining the life aspect of playing music.
Mm.
Uh, that was never really talked about in all three of these places, and for that matter, they were all similar in the sense that they were all rigorous about the theory, which is very important, you know, cool, and the history and a program and a system and sort of this mashup way of creating something. But within that, it sort of left this possibility of openness, which is what I'm talking about with music, which is expression and your voice and your individuality within a community, and you know, kind of on that level.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of you bringing this up, man, because I do know that you're one of the most spiritual people that that I've ever met, and so I'm just curious how that has informed your creative process.
Uh, uh, I think mostly meditation. I don't know if I don't know if I could say I'm a spiritual person, but like, but that we have a spirit, you have a spirit, and you too, Greg, and we connect and we have a good time. Good, you, you got one too, man.
Right, right.
I wonder. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. But for me, it's just a joyful way of living for me to try and always gain a deeper insight as to what is going on and my place with it, and the, within time. And there's all kinds of practices that help with kind of seeing things in a by stepping back in order to make decisions. And
Right.
my mother, I'd say, is she's super religious, is very much into this kind of stuff. But the way that I incorporate that with my music is, I mean, that's like a super, like we can go really, really super deep in it. But maybe if I'm trying to come at it from uh, I like to mirror things in different practices throughout the day. So if I'm meditating, which is just for me being in the state of meditation, which is just being open, you're letting stuff flow, you're breathing, you're you're either focused on loving something, which is similar to prayer, or you're just back into the flow. Well, you can mirror that while you can feel that sense of flow, that when it's time to create your piece of music and your piece of art, so that you then know the difference whether you're truly in that place of emptiness and egolessness. And that's when spirit, there is space for spirit, because the ego is out of the way. And because you've practiced that through meditation, it can inform the quality in which you do whatever activities. So in this case, practicing music, or shedding a concept, or playing a gig, and getting in that space, and practicing being in this space of awareness through meditation. And many musicians have said, playing music is a state of meditation. Wynton Marsalis said that, by the way.
Brought to you by Headspace. Man, it's funny as you're saying all that too. Like, I studied with a great musician, clarinet player named Alvin Baptiste here in New Orleans.
Right.
He would always had these beautiful sayings, and he was a practicing Rosa Krishna, so he was like into deep mysticism and Gnostic Christianity and things like that. But he always had this beautiful saying that I loved. He said, "The information comes in the silence." And as you were speaking on meditation, that kind of came to me in the moment too, and how, man, back when I was in high school too, I remember like cats would talk about the zone.
Oh
And,
yeah. Same as the soul.
Is it the same thing as soul? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You hit the zone, man. And yeah, I remember like having that moment too when I was in high school too. I mean, I don't know if the solo I took was any good, but I remember hitting that zone that you're speaking of, where everything, you become present in the moment, you become receptive to what you're listening to, and you're just kind of you're immersed in the moment.
Right.
So, man, it's just like it's funny too, as I'm listening to you speak on, like, how just again in music education, we're always dealing with the theory, we're dealing with the tangible, and we're also kind of dealing with the intangible. And that's like a tough dichotomy as a teacher to bring both sides to the table to help the growth of the musician and the growth of the person,
Exactly. And great teachers can do that and do that, within these systems. Like we were talking about these teachers earlier. Those heroes do exist, people like yourselves, people who do come, these different programs. But as systems, it's hard when you're working against systems that don't really have that in place.
Yeah. Did you have a
Absolutely.
mentor or a teacher that really inspired you to get in touch with that in yourself?
My mom.
Mm.
My mom. Definitely my mom. And then through that, then different books and different teachers and different connection points, you know. Yeah, it's a constant growth.
The beautiful thing, Greg, and you don't know Mathis, that one thing that I admire about you most is how open you are. You know, because I think you know, that you really just didn't like. You know, some people hear something, I don't like that, move on, man. They just want to hear the same thing that's predictable that they know they like. But you're always open. It's like, okay, well, let's check this out and let's see what it has to offer, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? And I feel like you go throughout your whole life like that. And I was perceiving that as spiritual, like that part of you, because you play like that too, because it's like, oh, we're going here, fine. You know.
Oh, that's an interesting connection that I hadn't thought about before, actually. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, how else can you hit techno and stride together? Because most motherfuckers will be like, don't listen to stride, or man, don't listen to fucking techno. That's not real music. You know, you see what I'm saying? But you find a beauty in both of them and then make it work, and then you're excited about it. You know, like we're in sound check. You're like, hey man, play this. And then you start playing some fucking stride. Whoa.
You're taking me back. I'm actually remembering now that we used to do that. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. I still love that stuff. I still love the boogie down, man.
The boogie down.
That's right.
Man, I think too, like that goes again, man. I feel like maybe we're gonna call this podcast "Spirituality in Music" or something. But
oh, I love that.
Did you have Marcus Miller on the show?
Yeah. Well, Marcus Miller, the saxophone.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very spiritual person.
Yeah, I think again too, like for me, when drawing all those connections comes from the spirituality, and again, like academic.
Yeah, saxophone player. Yeah, we have the man.
Hey, Mathis, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so Darian's frozen. I'm trying to figure out who's. That's it, man. We've gone on time and space, man, into the Zoom warp.
Yeah. It was a slow freeze.
Yeah, man. Going back to what you were saying too about like the spirituality, man. I feel like in school we're always trying to like draw these like separations. These like, this is stride piano. This is the way, this is trad music. This is bebop. This is modal. This is whatever. But then when you get down to like that essence that's above and beyond that, it's like there is the spirituality. There is the like, how are you connecting with people? How are you, what music, and that defies and transcends genre.
Well, it's interesting that you speak on that, because it would be interesting to, what if there was, and this is just like hypothesis, but like, what if there were the conceptualization of school wouldn't be classified by genre, and it's just music is music. And come learn whatever you want, and it's all about understanding the feeling of it.
Man, that's hard to teach, and it's hard to put like numbers on so you can grade.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly.
That's why it doesn't happen. Also, teachers can't teach things they don't know. So if a teacher hasn't gone through that journey themselves, it makes it incredibly difficult to teach on something they haven't experienced.
Yeah.
Humans are comfortable, man. And so just for instance, just think about our category of music, right, that we call jazz. It's first of all, it's a huge category, and no other music is like it, right? If you think about country music, you'll never be confused when you hear a country song, but you can hear a jazz song and be like, that ain't jazz. Right. Like it just won't happen with hip hop. It won't happen with any other category. Yeah. But even though jazz is so open, every subset of jazz musician is like, if you don't play within this these brackets, then it ain't jazz. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be associated with you. You sad. Like this, like our mindset is so closed. And so I think at this point in my life, I'm interested in an open mindset and figuring out how I can meet people where they are. Because then I can hear them and they can hear me, and we can have a dialogue about what it is we like and we don't like, and that's okay. We don't have to like it all, and we don't have to agree, but at least we listen to each other. You know what I mean? And I think you possess that characteristic, man. You know what I'm saying? And when people hear your music, like we should probably check it out here in a second, but you got a new record out, Mathis, live at the museum. And I'm pretty sure that's what was happening, bro. You was playing all kind of shit, fucking referencing Earth, Wind, and Fire, playing some fucking trash stuff. You was doing everything, I'm sure. But tell us about it, about this record and the inspiration for it.
Well, the record was recorded before the pandemic in 2019, on a cold January night. And it was always the intent to make this a record. It was always going to be a live recording at the National Jazz Museum of Harlem. And it had been a building project that I've been doing of giving concerts, kind of giving a brief concert with a brief history of the piano and the music of piano and the music of keyboards, really, too, you know. That was the very, very beginning of Live at the Museum. And then that eventually became its own program, its own concert. And then eventually I wanted to give a live concert at the museum to get it recorded. And that's what happened. And people came, and it was beautiful. And I had a little dance floor, and I set up the dance floor with the light so people could boogie down, and they did. And we had some vegan food that was free, so people came for the food. And I did a first set, people ate. Second set, they were feeling warm. It was really cold outside, like one of those New York super colds. Savannah was there playing the drums, so she played a couple numbers. We played like 24 songs. It was
Wow.
I really had been working on this for a long time. I even performed this. Do you remember when we went to China together?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was yeah.
Well, I was working on that program while we were there, like practicing while we were with Bria in China doing a residency at Dizzy's Shanghai for 3 weeks right before Christmas. I was practicing in the morning in our neighborhood. There was like these piano stores. For some reason, we were staying on the street where all the piano stores were. It was crazy. Or all the instrument stores, actually. So I would go there every morning, pay them whatever it was, the fee to practice there. And I would practice all this music, just learn all this stuff. I gave a concert at my parents' house when we came back for Christmas to practice playing this music, all of this stuff, because I was playing Ravel. I was learning this new music. And I was like, it was 24 songs. And then we cut it. The album is only 12 of those songs. But there was also an artist who was there drawing, doing expressions of what I was playing on the piano, because I was narrating a little bit, and you can hear that in the record. There's a song called Snake Song, and I speak a little bit over the piano in the same style that Willie the Lion Smith would do, you know, storytelling, you know.
Right. I'm thinking Jelly Roll. You know how Jelly Roll.
Yes, exactly. All that to be, now the record is out, and it's out in a wonderful time where I was able to release the Sound Orchestra album the year before that. It was the EP, and it made sense then, and it feels right to be giving a full album, 50 minutes worth of solo piano music. I got it mastered by my buddy who he's a genius when it comes to sound. So the piano sounds like you're just bathing in it. And I just can't wait for people to listen to it. You know, when people ask me, are you nervous? Like, do you feel weird? And I'm just excited, man. I'm just super pumped that people get to share some. I get to share something with people that's meant something that you were a part of too, man. Because that was a lot of the preparation while I was in China and we were hanging out. I spent a lot of time and to hang out and spend time together that influences all of the
Yeah.
stuff that I'm trying to put in. So yes, it is stride, and yes, it is that. But at the end of the day, I think it's the experience of each other's presence, people. You know, the
Yeah.
experience of being with you, the experience of thinking about Duke, the experience of thinking about Thelonious Monk, and so live at the museum is kind of that. You know, it's kind of a dramatic way to present it, but it is a little walk through at the museum of inside my life and like my early influences and the journey of those sounds as I've come to learn about the piano and how to play it.
That is beautiful. Let's take a moment right now. We'll listen to this next tune. It's called "The Creation of the Worlds." Yo, that was nice, bro. That was nice, bro.
Thank,
Beautiful, man. Beautiful job.
thank
Yeah,
you, bro.
killing. That's killing. Yo, how much of that was composed and how much of that was improvised? Because I hear so many influences from so many different places, and you also have me fascinated when you were talking about preparing for this concert. So I'd love to hear more about that too.
I mean, it was really important that I like at least learned the whole thing, the whole thing that John Lewis wrote. Otherwise, there'd be no point in doing anything else other than trying to play that. But then naturally, when it's time to perform, I can't help but go in the, what you would talk about, Darren, go in the direction of like what I feel could happen. And it's like, why not? Like, this
Mm.
is what the music is for. Like, if it feels like something's got to happen, let's just jump into it. And so the things that happen when you hear those influences, perhaps that's what's going on there. Like, I would say, I don't know. It's always a funny question. If you the piece is composed, but I always play with form and adding a little section and then opening it up. And definitely the whole arrangement of the way I'm performing it is this was performed for a small chamber ensemble. So this wasn't written for piano. So in that sense already it's its own arrangement.
Yeah, man. That it's a hard thing because like we're you are a true improviser. So everything you play is improvised, right? And we didn't really get into this, Greg, but Mathis studied classical music like a motherfucker. He went to a classical conservatory. He's a classical pianist. And so for you to even have that perspective, and Greg is actually a classically trained clarinetist, so who also improvises. So it's it's a different kind of brain that the people like y'all have, right? Because you understand what it is to play the same thing exactly the same every time, but then also you understand the freedom of improvisation. And I think in this situation you skirted between the two beautifully.
Thank you, man. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. I really
yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
yeah, man.
Since you brought up classical music, Matisse, how do you when you're like improvising? Um, I mean, like actually, let me rewind that. When you're shedding, are you improvising a lot, or do you spend most of your time like shedding, like actually like working out technique and repertoire and things like that? How do you approach that?
I found recently, and it keeps changing, like what a good shed is. But the most productive time and the most fulfilling, replenishing, creative, vibrational time is when I sit with records and I play along with them, or I learn exactly what is going on, and I just get deep into it, and I just meditate into a track, a song, or like a recording. And I'm not even, the goal is not even to transcribe it and it's like I've written it now. It's just to go back and just to like play with it. And whether I'm spending time with Bud Powell's language on the piano or chords or like a Chris Anderson chords, or if I'm spending time with John Lewis's chamber music for ballet, it's like what is actually going on with the harmony and digging. There's two practices really. One is digging into other people's stuff and the other is working on your shit. So
Matisse, why is music important to you?
why is music important to me?
Yeah.
Because music is life. Music is that might sound, music is the universe.
Music is life.
Music is life. Music is what I'm speaking to you. Music is what you're speaking to me. Music is the creation that created this laptop so that we could speak to each other.
Mm.
I believe that music is much more deeper than just something that we're hearing on the radio. It's in our heartbeats. It's in the wind and in the trees. It's in when you're walking on the subway or you hear the train coming. There's music. there's a music that exists of a song, of a great story always. It is what connects us. It's in our blood, you know. That's
Mhm.
why it's important to me.
Mm.
Okay, wait. So now I'm gonna raise you another question now. And, I think again, like I'm a teacher, so I'm always dealing with cats at a young age and an early stage of their development. And one of the hard things I get is like they always feel like sometimes they're doing that. So now the other question is, how do you, as a listener, how do you differentiate when all those things you just mentioned are happening in a musical performance and when they're not happening?
Mm.
Have you ever thought of that, or do you have any way of articulating that?
When what's happening and what's not happening?
Well, you were speaking on music being everything and the vibrational
Yeah.
force of the
Oh yeah.
universe. And so, I mean,
It-
I hope you maybe have seen some jive shit in your life. I'm just
but
wondering,
that's still part
like,
of
what
the
makes things disconnected from that?
yeah, but the thing is that's still part of the universe and like the reality of now. And if you see something that's not going so well, you still learn something from it.
Mm.
There's still a harmony to it, you know, and that kind of helps me, you know, opening up not opening up the mind to being able to listen to music without any prejudice or because this doesn't fit in a certain ideology, I won't listen to it. You know what you're talking about, Darian.
Mm.
But uh, for me, the way that I connect that is, for example, with classical music, I'm trying not to learn that through reading it anymore. I just kind of play it and transcribe it. Not even transcribe it, but the same way that I would do to a record of Thelonious Monk playing alone, I do the same thing to someone playing Bach's music. And that's how I learn the music, still through trying to hear it. And there's no goal. The goal is not to finish the song and have this product. The goal is just to really love learning. It feels like you're learning when you're learning orally anyway,
Mm.
and helping to blur those lines between musics. Yeah, for me at least.
The craziest thing, I think the scariest and craziest thing to do in life is to find a way to be honest all the time. And whenever you're creating art, it requires honesty for it to be sincere and for it then to be good. But it's also, like I said before, simultaneously like the scariest thing that you can do, because you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with your audience. How do you conquer that part of the creation process from moment to moment?
Um, being easy on myself,
Mm.
being aware and active about being kind to myself and to trust myself, so that in the process of giving, there is no doubt that I am who I am.
Bro, that's beautiful.
Mm.
Man, it's like, and
Yeah.
man, as you're saying that too, man, it's like that's been one of the hardest things for me to internalize through, just my growth as a person, and especially through music too, man. And I just like, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of my classical clarinet teacher back in college. He's like, you didn't start the note right. No, no, you're supporting, not supporting the air correctly. This, that, blah, blah, blah. And man, I do agree so much in what you're saying that, again, a lot of life is just learning how to be nice to yourself, learning
Uh-huh.
how to accept the moment and see the beauty in all these things
Mhm.
without that mean teacher on your
Yeah, well, finding a way to be your own teacher, really. And
Yeah.
then obviously we are each other's teachers naturally through conversation and catching up about life. We live this life together, all of us.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. But that's a fascinating thing for me. That's why the record is a mandala,
Mm.
because that's a symbol, obviously, for Buddhism and meditation, and that's so intricately aligned with the kind of music I'm trying to create. Definitely the state I was in while I was playing the music. deep, trying to be aware and open as possible, and to play all of that and not feel guilty that I'm playing all of that, or to not feel insecure, or to not feel ashamed, or to feel excited, or to feel in control, just being aware of what the fuck is going on when I'm playing, because that's the challenge. That is the challenge. That is the meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's
I
the
remember.
solo poem. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say something in response to that about when I first moved to New Orleans, and I was feeling all those feelings, insecure and ashamed and weird. And I remember one time I said that to this cat, Ashlyn Parker. I don't know if you know him, he's a trumpet player.
I do know him.
And I was about to go on stage. Okay, cool. So we about to go on stage. I'm like, yo, man, I feel weird, man. And he said, well, maybe you're supposed to feel weird. He started counting the song off. I'll never forget that, because it's like, it's okay to be what you are at this moment, is basically what the lesson I learned from that.
That's great.
Which is deep, because sometimes, I'm glad we're talking about this, because sometimes you do feel all kinds of feelings: insecure, scared, too excited, sleepy. You can be or angry because your band leader says some fucked up shit to you right before you go on stage, and we know about that. But you still gotta do your job.
Yeah, it could be anything, or there's a situation going on. You're worried about someone. It's life stuff, and that's what I mean about school, about getting us prepared as beings, of dealing with all the emotions and the intricacies that intertwine music making, creativity, and being alive on this planet. And stuff like meditation, or at least discussions like this, of just kind of what's happening, help, I believe, in being aware, like, oh yeah, man, like, that's true, I could be easier on myself. Even me being in a space right now where I can speak it puts me in a place of practice of trying to do that, but then it invites y'all to then share whatever y'all are working through as well. And this kind of space, specifically as a group well-being, could be put into schools. And that in reference to your first question, I really feel like that's something that would be so great to incorporate. And then again, what you said, you can't teach something you don't have. So
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Mathis, did you have a master's? What level of education did you accomplish?
I accomplished all the way to bachelor's, and then
that's a poor way of asking the question. But what's man? I'm just, as you're saying all that kind of stuff, man. And I really respect and totally believe in everything, all the knowledge you're dropping right now. But a lot of times I run into people and students that have a hard time balancing maybe what you're saying with maybe like the authoritative regime of like an institution. Definitely. So I'm like, do you have any advice for those kind of cats that are maybe like grappling with like, do I go to school? Do I deal with this? Like, how do you even navigate through these situations and people that that may not come from the same place that you are?
I gotta practice more on not saying the same way when I play, I don't want to start each phrase with the same way. I'm trying to be aware of how I start each phrase, whether it's in music or it's speaking. So tell me if I say I don't want to say
See? There you go. There you
go. That wasn't man. You're good.
Yeah, you good. Do your thing, baby.
With all that, I forgot the question.
Do you have any advice?
Advice for these kids? I remember now. It depends on what you're looking for. Okay. This is advice. This is not the facts, but this is just advice. If you're looking to move to somewhere and you don't know anyone and you feel like going to school will help you settle in this place and you're a young student, then go. If that's going to help you be in this place. But if you feel like you can be in this place without having to go to the school, then perhaps you don't need to go to school. Now, obviously, there's the thing about getting a degree. That is a fair argument. Get a degree, like at least a bachelor degree or something. I don't know. I don't have a master's, and I don't know how that's going to kick my ass later on. But but at the end of the day, we're working on different things, and I mean, it's interesting. Some people are asking, should I come to New York? Should I not? Should I go to school? New York's not the same right now. You know, the pandemic's really hit New York in a bad way. It's upsetting almost what it's done to the scene. There's the warriors and the heroes definitely were out here. You know, you out here. You know, Darian. But you know that on a community level, it's not quite the same as what it used to be. So it's still being healed, and that's just the reality of where we're at. And things will get better. It can only want to, people only want to go in the other direction, and that's all that matters. I'd say even if you go to school, let's say now you have to go to school, you are in school, and you want to be more in touch with this part of music and the spirituality and stuff. Having acceptance with the situation you're in is also a spirituality, because then it allows you to move on with it and do what you got to do. That spirituality is not an escape. It's a mechanism by which you deal with what's happening in front of you with spirit, and that spirit can be joy or whatever you want to go through. So it's hard to say, obviously, who needs what, but I'm glad I came. See, I'm still glad I came because I made wonderful friends who I still play music with till the day and have connections that will be for lifetimes. And yeah, it sucks to have to work all the time. But look at us now. It's 9 p.m. and we're working. So
yeah, that's a hard question that all these kids are gonna have to answer, and they're gonna have to do a lot of meditating and thinking before they make their decision. Because I don't think it's the same. Like there used to be a time where you had to go to school to accomplish certain things, but now you don't, and so you just gotta do that mathematical equation and figure out, you know, do you need it or don't you need it? Because honestly, music is a trade. So, you know, think about that before you pay a certain amount for it.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. You know, plumbing is a trade too, and plumbers make a hell of a lot more money than musicians do. So yeah, think about that.
You gotta just kind of be ready to go through some punches, I think.
Yeah, and I'm talking about performing musicians. If you want to be a teacher, then take your ass to school. You're gonna need it. But if you're gonna just be out here playing,
that's true. That's very true. I was just say, if you really just want to play, there are many people out here who just want to play, and they aren't, and that's all that's needed. And we don't need a system to know who can play, who can't. That no, it's very clear.
either you can or you cannot.
Yeah, and that's as simple as it is. You have the feeling or you don't, and no paper will tell us yes or no. That's also the truth of it.
Yeah,
I appreciate like what you said too. Yeah, at the end of the day too, you got to get in touch with yourself and figure out what you need, and only we can give ourselves what we ultimately need, and that's an important part in our development as people to get in touch with that.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because sometimes people go to school for validation, you know, to appease, you know, like you're appeasing your parents or your peers, or you need validation and you got a piece of paper. So now you're intelligent.
Yeah.
But that's just, you know, you got to be careful of those kinds of things too. Figure out what you want to do and then do that. And school ain't going nowhere. You can go to school when you're 65 if you want to.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe it'll be free then, you know.
Or maybe
look, maybe all right. Mathis, man, we coming to the end, man. This was beautiful, man. I really enjoyed this, man. You really I think you really, this was a vulnerable conversation. So I appreciate you, man, for that.
Thank you so much. I feel good. It was such a cool vibe. You know, I hope to do it again. And and tune in and watch all the shows. And is this also a podcast, right? This will be a podcast.
Yeah, it's a podcast. So, you know, everybody, you base more people listen to it than they do watch it. So that's where we at with it. But
that's great.
Man.
That's gonna be. I can't wait to listen to it. What's up to all the fans?
Speaking of fans, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where to buy your merchandise and how they can sign up for your meditation classes and all of that stuff.
Album comes out on Friday. My website is my name, and all the information is on there, and you'll just know what to do. You'll go on there, you'll see the tour dates, working on stuff for April, working on stuff for the summer. Like really cool news. This is a really cool news happening, and I want to make sure I find a very good way so people can get access to the news. Obviously Instagram, but on the website as well. And good luck to both of you too. Thank you for having me.
Man, absolutely.
It's been a pleasure having you, and I appreciate getting a chance to sit down and pick your mind a little bit. And thank you for sharing all your wisdom and experiences. And hopefully that'll reverberate into the universe and influence some other minds.
So dig it, y'all. Go to MathisPicard.com, and Mathis is spelled like Mathis for all our listeners out there. Mathispicard.com. And buy his brand new record that's coming out this Friday, January 28th. And also send him a message, DM Mathis, and make sure he starts his meditation courses on Zoom, so y'all can all tune in while he plays piano and does some ohms for you. Not ums, but some ohms. All right, y'all. My name is Darian Douglas.
My name is Gregory Ajid. Thank you so much, Mathis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro. Catch y'all next time. Later.